Hey everybody, this is Zach here. Going to go over some of the basically rules and demonstrations for how to conduct the inch dumbbell time for hold event. And this is, basically as per the Grip Sport International rules. So this is an event that has not been contested that often and still does not get contested that much. But there have been some questions about the rules, or if you were wanting to add that to a competition, what would that look like? So I'm going to get into some of that today. The first thing I want to bring up is that doing this inch dumbbell timed hold thing is, it's not like a leaderboard submission or you're just going to submit videos in and it gets added to the database. It has to actually be an event in a competition or tied to a sanctioned event with Grip Sport International. So it's not just a free for all where people are lifting in their garage and submitting stuff in and who knows what's going on. So it is regulated, it is sanctioned, but that's just kind of ensure that, the results are actually legitimate or there's a standard with them. So getting into that, obviously some of the stuff you're going to need, 2 quarters, and I'll go over that. They're going to be balanced on the globes, but, obviously a dumbbell. And for this event, when it's held in competition, if you were doing the event with some other people and maybe their level isn't an inch dumbbell hold and you still wanted to track it for your own personal things, you could use smaller dumbbells, bigger dumbbells, whatever, if that's what the promoter wants to do. But as far as the database goes and what's going to be included, it's just inch dumbbell replicas. So we're just dealing with the 78 kilo or the 172 dumbbell. So it's not like there's different bells for everybody. It's just the classic feat of strength, the inch dumbbell replica. So with that, the dumbbell has to weigh at least 170 pounds. So that is the minimum that the dumbbell can be. If you're looking at brands that are okay to use for true inch replicas, you're going to be looking at, brands like Slater Strength. This is actually a Slater, bell from Steve Slater himself. So Slater inch replicas, Hall dumbbells, Nathan Hall's bells from the UK. Selene dumbbells, which aren't really in production anymore, but still a valid inch replica. There are some older ones like, maybe Sorinex or Iron Mind inch dumbbells when they made them, Adamski inch dumbbells. All those bells are pretty much true inch replicas that will meet the criteria that I'm going to cover. Bells that won't meet the criteria are, strength shot bells where the handle's oval and the bottoms are flat and the handle's an inch longer. Any type of loadable setup, circus dumbbell, shot loadable, none of that is an actual inch replica. So it should be pretty clear, but I just want to kind of go over some of those brands or some of the things that could be used. And I don't know if I mentioned, I said Slater. There's one I'm missing. So I said Slater, Hall dumbbells, Selene, and Stanowitz strength equipment. That's the other one I just forgot. So Zach Stanowitz actually makes an inch replica that will come in right about 172 pounds now. That could be used in this as well. So I don't want to leave that out. But, 4 or 5 different makes, models, or probably even more than that, that could be used from past brands. So as we get into it, just going to cover these rules and kind of how to conduct it, do a little demo. And hopefully that'll help everybody out if they ever want to host this event or if they're ever wanting to just kind of train for it or challenge themselves, whatever. And what the point I was making about the competition stuff is that, you could hold it and keep score of smaller dumbbells, larger dumbbells. It's just that won't be actually recorded in the database because the only thing that gets tracked is the inch dumbbell replica. So from there, things that are allowed. So you can use a thumb grip. So that's with my thumb being included, or you can go thumbless. So you can actually use a thumbless grip. Most people are not going to feel that that's stronger. I don't really know anybody other than maybe some high-level arm wrestlers that don't do grip that maybe that position would favor. For most people, you're going to have a better hold with the thumb, but both grips are allowed. You can straddle the dumbbell. So, legs to the sides, or you could suitcase the dumbbell with the dumbbell being outside the body here. So both of those stances are allowed. The offhand can be braced on the body. So what that means is just if I'm lifting this and I go to lift this dumbbell, my offhand can post here. I can lean here. I cannot have my lifting arm in contact with my leg or bracing on my body or bracing the bell against my body. But the offhand that is not lifting can post or brace on the off leg. The dumbbell has to be picked up at least 6 inches off the ground, and lockout's not required. So when doing that, you'll want to maybe have like a marker or something that you've measured that indicates 6 inches from the floor, so that that judge or whoever you're running the competition with can get a good clear view that you're lifting the bell high enough. So you have to do 6 inches or higher, but you don't have to lift it to lockout. So that's going to make it real easy to kind of hold it, have it free from your body, and not have to worry about the body contact. So dumbbell weight, right? For all the replicas I mentioned, this would be within this criteria, but the handle must have a diameter of at least 2.3 inches or greater. The circumference must be at least 7 3/16, so measuring around the handle should be 7 3/16. From there, you're going to take a clean quarter and put it on top of the center of each globe, and the globe should be wiped clean. So here I have 2 quarters, and we're going to place them on the center of the globes, But first, I'll go ahead and wipe them down. And that's just making sure that there's no like chalk that's caked on it or anything that could, I guess, make the quarter stick to it in an unnatural way. So we kind of want it to be here. That way it can slide off if this bell gets to tilting too much. So place the quarters in the center right there. Like I mentioned, suitcase or straddle, offhand can brace, 6 inches off the ground. Now, the time starts when the dumbbell leaves the ground, and the time ends when control is lost, when it is placed back down, or when either coin slips off. So if I drop the dumbbell, it pops out of my hand, time stops. If one of these coins slides off and I'm still holding the dumbbell, time stops. And if the quarters do not fall off, but I lower it back to the ground, as soon as it touches the ground, boom, time will stop. That will be the lifter's time. Now, for the recording purposes of the event, the minimum recordable time is 3 seconds. So you have to at least hit the minimum of 3 seconds for it to be entered into the database. Generally in a competition, the promoter could probably do what they want. For the original rules, they just did a maximum of 3 lifts. Generally, if you're doing a timed hold, I don't think your second or third even are going to be better than the first one. So it's really not an event where numerous attempts or extra attempts are going to serve you any advantage, in my opinion. But to keep it somewhat true to the old style or what was done previously, you could keep it maximum of 3 lifts. That gives people more than enough chance to log a good time. So from there, just making sure that the dumbbell is not touching the legs or the body. You can have momentary incidental contact is allowed unless it's repetitive. So if you accidentally bump your leg or something hits as you're moving, or you go to adjust your position a little bit and there's some contact with something, it's not going to be the end of the lift. But if you continue to kind of do it, or it seems to be repetitive and you're gaining an advantage from it, that'll be up to the judge to kind of stop that, make sure it stays strict. So moving on. Yeah. Also, if you are taking video for any reason, now these are not going to be taken on like an honor system video wise. There will be a judge there because it's tied to a sanctioned event. But for the purposes of video submission, you want to make sure that you're getting an angle where it's clear to anyone viewing that video that your lifting arm is not touching your body, the bell is not touching any part of your body, and there's no body contact with that bell. Sometimes angles can be tricky. Sometimes it can look one way, but it looks like you're bracing it, but you're not. So if you are filming it, try to make sure that when you do film, you have an angle that shows everything completely clear. From that pretty much breaks down most of the rules, most of the information. But yeah, just to give a couple little demos here. So from here, all I'm going to do, offhand can brace, post, whatever. I can't do it on my leg here. So even though this would be above 6 inches and to hold, that's good, right? Time would stop when it sits down. That one would stop when the bell hit the floor because the quarters are still on it. Let's say I bring it up, but my lifting arm touches my leg. Something like this. It could look very similar, but I would actually be cheating. I'm here, but then I'm kind of bracing on the leg. Hit the ground, quarters fall off, whatever, time stops, right? There is a possibility that someone can't stop the rotation. So as they're here, when they're doing it, maybe they can still keep control of the dumbbell, but the quarters slide off. So I'll demo that one. That would also stop time. Boom. When the quarters are off, time stops. Lost control. So that's really it. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Hopefully that kind of clears up what you would need if you wanted to run this event. And if anybody has any other questions or anything to add, comment below. Reach out to Jed Johnson, Eric Hussein, myself. Doesn't matter. Just somebody that's in the know and can get you the information. So hopefully that clears it up. And hopefully we can see this event get contested more in the future. Thanks.